you don't know me, I work with nonprofit leaders so they can master the art of influence, so they can ask for and receive all they want, need, and deserve without feeling rejected, ineffective, or pushy. Those are the big three no one wants to feel. And you can fundraise without feeling those things. Today, I'm going to go a little bit deep. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to talk about different styles of leadership. And first, I want to talk about what some of the observations that I have made in my 30 plus years of working with organizations. There is an underlying belief that if I put something out, I'm going to get something back, right? If I put an email out or an appeal out, I'm supposed to get something back from that. We feel like there should be a direct relationship between the effort I expend and what I receive from that. And in fundraising, especially, sometimes it doesn't really happen that way. Or in marketing, you may put something out here and then something really odd drops in over here. You're like, what is this about? I want direct action. And especially boards. And when I work and train with boards, I really hone in on this concept. A lot of board members are sort of risk-averse personalities. They don't want to mess up. And so they want to do something that feels very safe. If I put this in, I want you to guarantee me I'm going to get this out. And that's not really how it works. And I want to explain why. And I'm going to get sciencey. So get ready. And I am not a scientist. My husband is. I am not. So there's two main types of science, right? Newtonian physics and quantum physics. And we tend to look at our life by Newtonian physics principles. So for instance, I have this pen. If you're listening, trust me, I have this pen. It is a purple pen. Of course it is. And I'm going to drop the pen. And when I release it, it'll fall. Do you think it'll fall? I don't know. Will it? Of course it will fall, because that's what we see, right? We all, in Newtonian physics, we all experience the same thing. And we get direct action. I push the ball rolls. And we want that to translate and permeate our world. But there's another way of looking at the world, and that is through quantum physics or quantum theory. First of all, like bonkers. Okay, so if you ever do any sort of research, or there's a really good PBS special. There's a great book called The Field that is for not scientists that I've listened to twice that explains quantum physics and the field. But in quantum physics, all possibilities exist in every tiny micro moment. And time is not linear, and light is made up of waves and particles. So light can be two things at once, and your experience is not the same as everyone else's. So how I perceive the meeting would be very different than how you perceive the meeting. In quantum theory, there's all possibilities. So in quantum theory, there is a world where I didn't meet my husband, where every decision or anything that was made, there's other alternatives to that, and they all live collectively. And really what we're doing is just like pulling things out of the quantum field, right? And because it all exists there, all seen and unseen, all known and unknown. Now, what is in the world does this have to do with fundraising? Because quantum theory means that all possibilities exist in every moment. It's sort of like when I talk about fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset says we couldn't do any more. It's been like that. It's always going to be like that. I don't know how we take on anything new. We tried that in the past. It didn't work. That's a fixed mindset. That feels Newtonian to me, right? Well, we did that before and it didn't work, right? Because I pick up the pen. Guess what? It's going to fall again. I can guess that based on what happened before. But if we move our mind into the quantum realm, that means all possibilities exist. And our past does not dictate our future, because in every moment, possibilities exist. And also that we understand that the efforts that we put out, it's not like It's not like a cosmic ATM, right? I'm going to put energy here and it's going to come back to me. And so many times when we like reach out, when we do campaigns and outreach and we don't get something back, we're like, wait, that didn't work, because we're looking at it from a Newtonian perspective. I'm going to give you an example, a very real world example of how this plays out in a story in my life. All right, so call people. Hey, when I first started my business, before I had my email list, before I had anything, what I do, I call people. Hey, I have this company. Here's what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes people will call me back. Sometimes they wouldn't. There's somebody I really liked. I even mentioned her nonprofit in my book. I really admired this person. I called her and said, hey, and you're in my book and let's connect sometime. Didn't hear back from her. So in my mind, in my Newtonian mind, that was somebody that I called and didn't call me back. A couple months later, I'm giving a workshop and this person comes in who works for the executive director. She's the development director. And she's like, Maryanne, I'm so glad to be here because my executive director loves you, follows all your stuff, is so excited for you, and totally wanted me to come here to be with you. Now, and I was like, wow. So here's why this is important. Because in my mind, I had a cause and effect, a base principle. I called, she didn't call back. But actually, she's a huge fan. And actually, we did work together after that. And for a long time, I did many projects with this organization. Because what happened is it wasn't a direct effect. It took a while for the energy to filter around and get back to me. So when we look at things, we measure things, we're often measuring for a direct cause and effect, which isn't actually how things work. As my friend Lisa says, sometimes you got to polish over here so you can shine over here. And that is more of a quantum theory. When I work with boards, especially boards and staff, one of the things I teach them is you don't get to decide who or when. You don't know. You can't decide when who is going to give and when somebody is going to give. Your job is to put your message out there, to be present, to be connected, so that when that person decides, you are ready. But you can't make people decide. You can't push somebody into doing something and expect they're going to do it right back. But that's our expectation because we're looking at it through a Newtonian lens. If we were looking at it through a quantum lens, in our leadership, in our direction, we could see that possibilities exist beyond what we can see right now with our eyes, with our senses. And we want to be very conservative in how we make decisions. And it's like data. And data is important. I'm not saying that, but that's not the only way that we can look at decision making. What I would like you to explore is the idea of what quantum leadership looks like for you and inside your organization and the culture of your organization. And I'm not saying Newtonian leadership or quantum leadership, one is right, one is wrong. They're just two different perspectives. However, I have found more growth and possibility from a quantum mindset, which is also a growth mindset. A Newtonian leader takes his or her function in more of a black and white mechanical approach, right? It's a cause and effect. A quantum leader recognizes the vast array of possibilities in all situations with their teams, and they realize that leadership is shared, and as a result, empower their teams and colleagues to lead. And they understand that different situations can mean different things to people. And it's not that things are, instead of the idea of things being like right or wrong, that's less important than creating success and creating partners and organizations, because they realize that an infinite spectrum of possibilities exist. Now, in our nonprofit space, we really buy into this scarcity myth that there's only so much money and we have to get our share. That's finite thinking. That's Newtonian fixed thinking. But really, the world is finite. and possibilities exist everywhere. And the more that we can tap into that, the more that we're able to create that. If we don't believe there's a possibility for things to be different, things won't be different. It's just that. If somebody says it's never going to work, they're going to write. You can say it's going to work or it's not. But whatever you choose to say will most likely be the truth. So I want you to think about this. I'm going to give you a list of 8 questions to see if you are a quantum growth oriented leader. The first one is, do you believe the possibility that things can be different? And whatever you answer is totally okay. We're just taking some temperature here. Do you believe that do you believe in the possibility that things can be different for yourself? Number 2, do you believe in the possibility that things can be different for your team or for your organization? Number 3, can you create something new? Do you have the ability to create something new? Number 4, do you believe that the past does not equal the future? That what happened in the past doesn't have a bearing on what happens in the future? Number 5, do you consider or are in touch with the feelings in your body when making a decision? Resistance. Oh my God, I said that and I started coughing. Or I said that and my stomach hurts. Being in touch with your body. Do you believe and can follow your intuition? Do you trust yourself? And do you look to seek to understand and empathize with others? Now, if you can answer, I'd say more than half of those, you're well on your way to quantum leadership, growth-minded leadership. And I'm going to tell you, as a coach, as somebody who helps people perform more effectively, that's what I'm looking for. If you truly don't believe things can change, it's going to be really hard for me to be effective in that space. But if you believe that possibility exists, that a different way is possible, I can definitely help you. So when I'm chatting with clients and doing these intro calls, I will ask some of these questions. Do you believe things can really be different? Do you trust yourself to guide your team through this? And, do you seek to empathize with others and understand others? I'm really looking to see what kind of underlying mindset people have, because I work with growth quantum mindset people, because they can see the possibility, they can see the opportunity. And I myself am the same way, right? That's what I come from. I also know that there isn't always a direct, easy understanding of the effort that I put out and what I get back. I do these podcasts and these YouTube videos. I send out emails. I'm not always in tune to what's out there and what energy is available because it hasn't come back to me yet, but it will eventually. Right? So if I send out an email, I'm saying, well, I better get 5% of the people to act. You're not, no. And in fundraising, it's like, yeah, no. Ow. But you're saying, but Maryanne, we have goals. We have numbers we need to meet. How can you use this growth quantum leadership principle when we have hard and fast numbers we need to meet? And that is a great question. So because I'm a quantum I'm in the growth quantum mindset. That doesn't mean that I am not determined to achieve clear, measurable goals. It means I am open to expanding the idea of what those goals can mean. All possibilities exist, including the ones we haven't even imagined yet. So if we set out a goal and we say, oh, well, maybe let's try this. Let's try this. What is the possibility out there? Instead of saying we have this goal and we have this one way of getting it, and that's what we're going to do. I can hold space for, I have a goal to meet, and also I don't get to say who or when, because you never could. And if you thought you could, that's only living in disappointment, because when it doesn't happen, you're like, wait, I couldn't get them to do something. No, you can't. And that's one of the things I talk about all the time, right? I can't convince people. I can't make people. You can't pitch, force, push people. Your job is to be open, available, connected to people, so that when they decide, you're ready, right? And so in the quantum realm, I can hold space that I have goals to achieve, but then also realize that I remain open to expanding the ideas of what those goals could mean and how I could achieve them. And that there's just not one direct path forward. Again, I got to polish over here to shine over here. And if I'm looking for direct response, I may be disappointed. I may actually abandon a strategy that's actually working because I'm putting it out into the field. And sometimes I say this a lot in my trainings, and I don't know if I explain enough. But when I say, because I'm just putting it out into the field, I'm putting it out into the quantum field, into the realm of possibility. I'm what we call disrupting the field. I'm saying, hey, I want this to happen. I'm putting that call out there. It may come to me as, as that person called me back, or it may come to me as somebody who shows up at my workshop. But it'll come back to me. But if we're looking at to come back only in a certain way, in a way that we prescribe, we may consider that a failure, when actually it was a success, just not in the ways that we measured. You get it? So when I told you before, I have this new training that with boards where I teach them very, very specifically how to have a connection conversation, which means how to connect with one person a month around your nonprofit. It's not about asking for money, because you know how to do that already. It's about having them generate leads for you, right? And it's so important that when I work with boards, that I am connecting with boards that see the possibility, that want to learn something new, that are open to creating something new, that believe that something can be different, and that are willing to take a shot at it, and also that are willing to let these connections play out however they're going to play out. And if you release that outcome and allow what it will happen to happen, you're going to get so much more back than when you're trying to control and say, okay, if I do A, B, and C, I'm going to get D. In quantum theory, in this growth aspect, you're going to do A, B, and C, and you might get G, H, and a bunch of other stuff that you didn't even realize was a possibility, because you were open to that. All right, so that's it. Like, let that sink in a little bit and ask yourself, can I adopt a more growth mindset? And if you're an organization that's like, yes, this is us, and you want to learn how to connect better, you want to learn how to generate leads, you want to learn how to lead more effectively, I'm your girl. In the show notes and the notes on this video, I have a link, and it's a quickie call with me. And if you're interested in talking with me more about how you can lead more effectively, how you can raise more money more easily, how you can turn your board into lead generation machine, I'm happy to do a 15-minute quickie intro call with you and give you tons and tons of value. And we can talk about what it's like to work with me if you're interested, and to see if it's a fit. Either way, it's totally okay. It's always great to connect with people in my world. And that's it for another episode of Influential Nonprofit. I will see you next time.